Hello and welcome to the oddest little podcast on the internet. We are the Odd Pod. What's going on? My name's Stacey Kruger. Who are you boys?
I am casually challenged. I have nothing funny to say after that.
I'm so disappointed.
I am Rad Hazard, and I'm not a boy, I'm a man.
Yeah, as actually, ladies and gentlemen, right before the podcast, Rad was talking to us, so I was thinking about going out to the store later on today, and just instantly became a man. Just balls dropped right there.
I even heard the thud.
So guys, I was thinking about going to the strip bar tonight.
I'm Robbie, and I'm enjoying the few days of sun that we were supposed to be getting in late August, somehow in April.
Seriously, what's up with your country, dude? It seems to hate sunshine.
I don't know. Usually, like, April is nothing but rain, but we apparently got a gust of hot air from, like, the Sahara or something. So it went up to from, like, 9 degrees to, like, 25 degrees, which isn't, like, the hottest time we've had during the year, but it's way hotter than it's supposed to be for a fucking April of all places.
I'm just Ryan. I don't have a nice intro.
I am so disappointed in you, Ryan. Folks,
What do you want me to say?
you know, I kind of wish we would have left in how we started the podcast. I tried to start the podcast and it just turned into me stuttering and mumbling and falling on my own words for the first, 30 seconds where everybody's like, just Stacey, just stop, restart, let's do this. It was bad, man. Apparently... Go ahead.
It's because you're supposed to take the dick out of your mouth before you start talking.
You are?
Apparently.
Son of
it helps.
a bitch. I had no idea. Remove penis, try to talk again. Guys, I have a question for you to start off this podcast. First off, to anybody who's listening, if you haven't seen Super Troopers 2, go to see it. Holy shit. Second, that's all I'm going to mention, because I know nobody else wants to talk about it. Horror movies. Who here is a fan of horror movies?
I'm a fan of the old, like 1980s and 1990s horror movies. Back then, they still used practical effects.
Used to be, but I kind of lost interest in horror movies when they started the trend of making them all PG-13 so that they could sell more tickets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I'm more a fan of the subcategory of slasher movies.
Also, yeah, that's the other thing. I don't like the gore movies like Saw and stuff. I like a movie that gives me a creepy feel,
right,
more than anything else. So modern horror movies don't usually do that. I will say, I did see It. That was really good.
Did you see that, Ryan?
Yeah.
What did you think of it? Was it kind of a harken back to the old style of horror?
I mean,
I know you haven't been on this planet nearly as long as we have, me and Casual, because we're the old fucks of this podcast. But what you've seen, does it kind of harken back? Does it have the same creepy ambience instead of just like, oh, look, guts flying into the camera?
I mean, when they open it up, kind of, yeah, just like, you're looking down into a dark sewer and bam, there's some, like, yellow eyes looking at you. Like, he pops up kind of like...
Oh, it reminds me of my first date.
What?
It was amazing.
I would say that most modern horror movies don't do what It does, although you have to, like, every so often, you have to literally change the dynamic of horror movies because people get used to how it's done. There was a time when what Freddy did on screen was terrifying, but then it got to be what everyone was doing. There was a time when Freddy Krueger was the most terrifying thing, and then he kind of became a farce of himself, and everybody was copying it. Right now, the go-tos are things like Get Out, It, and the Paranormal franchise, which even the Paranormal franchise is starting to get old hat. People are copying it too much.
Oh, that one where they supposedly put a camera up in their room and saw everything was real type of thing?
Yeah, found footage type movies.
Yes.
That's kind of getting to be old hat now. I would say, generally speaking, the new trend is to it's more about atmosphere than about gore right now, which is great to me because that's my favorite type of horror. But I, give that another 5 years and they'll have to change up the dynamic again because it's just the way horror works.
In 5 years, everything will have to be like the movie Unfriended.
Unfriended? What the hell's Unfriended?
It's the whole movie takes place over like a Skype call, like video chat.
Well, that's terrifying as it is. It's Skype. I mean, if you're a fucking idiot still using Skype, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I saw Skype pop up. I remember a Skype commercial popped in my computer one day. I was like, oh, God. It's just an ad. It's just an ad. It's not actually Skype on my computer.
You saw the hands come out of the screen and grab you.
Microsoft's like, yours again. But I can honestly say I don't remember this movie at all.
Oh, it's a good
so
thing you don't
the entire
remember
thing
it.
is where you became unfriended and everybody's scared. Like, no, they're unfriending us from Facebook. Ah!
I mean, if you want to look at it that way, yeah, but it's a bad movie.
I'm not surprised. And this is my surprise face. You can't see it exactly because it's not there.
What?
A movie about getting for fuck's sake.
But bringing back to the topic,
Yes.
why did you bring this up?
Have you ever thought, in your love for horror flicks, you'd ever need an article to tell you how to introduce your children to horror movies?
Well, yeah, you start them off with Saw.
Yeah.
You get your toddler. I expect you with your kid, Saw, all of them.
As soon as it comes out of your sister, the first thing we do is plant it in front of the TV.
The
and turn it
doctor's
off.
not there. It's a screen and Saw. Head first comes out. First scene just.
See, there you go. The reverse bear trap is the first thing it sees as soon as it comes out of your sister's cunt.
Yep.
I actually have a different recommendation. The day after they turn 5, put them in front of the movie, put on Alien.
Oh, that actually wouldn't be a bad idea. But I mean, seriously though, why? Who the hell, in their infinite wisdom, saw it in front of their computer to write an article for a news agency and went, you know what we need to do is tell parents how to introduce their children to horror movies. Who the hell thought this was needed?
Because all their kids.
Well, Stacy thought a video game news site was news organization.
See, that's where I fucked up. I gave any type of thought that maybe they were worthwhile. Oh, silly me. Jesus Christ.
How dare you?
Hey, BuzzFeed is a legit news organization.
Out! Out! Out of this podcast! You're never
I get
welcome
all-
back.
Pitter patter, pitter.
I get all my news from TMZ.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Did you know Tom Cruise has genital warts? What? Yeah, I totally saw him in a bathroom. What? How is this even a news story? Because we're TMZ.
Did you know there's a thing called a Bat Boy out there somewhere?
No. This is the
Weekly
letters going on the
World News,
screen, by the
man.
way. Nobody's going to get that joke because I'm envisioning it in my own head. The letters pop. Moving on. Seriously, what kind of a nanny state kind of motherfucking mindset do you have to be where you think you need to tell people how to introduce their children to horror flicks? You know how my mom did it? I was sitting there and you know what? My mom did it the best possible way. She knew I was arachnophobic. She knew I was terrified of spiders. Like, if I saw a Danny Longlegs, I'd be like, ah! She'd be like, Danny Longlegs again? Yeah! She's like, shut up, you pussy. You know, so she knew what nailed Stacy real good, right? So she's like, hey, Stace, do you want to come watch a movie with Mom? Sure, Mom! Apparently I sound like Mickey Mouse when I was again. Oh, boy, Mom, I can't wait! And now we're going to get sued by Disney because I made the voice. But I was like, yeah, of course, I would love to. So I cuddled up with Mom in the bed, and my mom's just smiling, like, what are you smiling about, Mom? She went, oh, you'll love it, Stacy. Don't worry, little nudnik. So she put it in, the tape in. Yes, this is back when tapes exist. I know, Ryan, you're like, what's a tape?
Tape holds stuff together. How do you put something on there?
I know, it's amazing. It was archaic technology. About the same time dinosaurs were around, we used tapes.
Ah, the medieval ages.
But she put the tape in, we're sitting there, and I'm like, what's this about? Oh, you'll see, honey. And that's when I saw this spider come flying at my face. Because by definition, arachnophobia was, by definition, a horror flick because it scared the shit out of you. Sure, it wasn't all about, well, the spiders were murdering you in a way. They were attacking people. So by definition, horror. It was the best possible way because all she did was reinforce my fear of spiders to this day. I was taking a shower, guys, and I saw a spider in the shower up in the corner. This is back when I was still married. I called my ex-wife, honey! She went, spider? Yeah. I'm not even joking. So that's the best possible way to introduce your child to a horror flick. Find what they're afraid of and have them watch the movie that they're afraid of and have them be traumatized the rest of their life, and then they'll fall in love with horror flicks afterwards.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a new life mission. Everybody listening, everybody in this podcast, get Stacy to watch Eight-Legged Freaks.
Or Arachnophobia.
That's the movie that my mom had me watch. I won't watch that shit
Yeah.
ever again. Fuck that shit. Wasn't there like Arachnophobia 2?
No, here's the thing about Arachnophobia. It's almost a comedy. Like, it's got some really weird, dark comedy moments, but yet it's also one of the potentially most terrifying spider-based movies out there. Like, because it takes such a realistic take on the idea of them. It's not like many of the movies, because there were a lot of those, let's call them bug-based movies out there, where it was about, like there were movies about ants that took over, and spiders and bees and all sorts of things. They mostly came out in the, like, late 70s-ish. Arachnophobia was, in many ways, an anomaly in that dynamic, because it was horror, but it was taking a slightly more realistic tint on it, because it was like the spiders weren't gigantic. They which kind of makes it worse. They were little tiny things for the most part.
Was my memory of this that distorted because I was that terrified by the movie? Because I remember them being friggin' like those bird eating ones. What the hell are they called?
Camel spiders?
It's bigger than camels.
Bird-eating
Well,
Goliath.
it depends.
Spiders, thank you,
Are you talking about Arachnophobia, or are you talking about Kingdom of the Spiders?
I remember.
which is
I
another
remember
one.
watching Arachnophobia. I remember them being like huge. But of course, once again, maybe it was just 5-6-year-old me being that terrified.
Well, there were two big spiders in that entire movie.
Oh.
Like there was at the very beginning of the movie, there was a giant spider that killed one dude and then sucked his corpse dry on a trip from South America to wherever they were in the U.S., some podunk town. And then the rest of the spiders were like the size of a quarter, but they were like super, super ridiculously venomous, and they bite you once and they kill you. And then they were just swarming this town, which made it, part of the scary stuff. But then at the end, it was a giant mama spider that was at the very end attacking, what's that guy's name?
John Goodman.
Jeff. No, John Goodman died early on. The main guy was Jeff somebody. He was on Full House.
Oh,
And,
was he?
no,
the crazy...
not Full House. No. Sorry, Dumb and Dumber. The other one that wasn't Jim Carrey.
Jeff Daniels.
That's it. Jeff Daniels was the main
That
guy.
was him in that movie.
Yep.
Wow, that's been a lot of years since I've watched it because I don't even recognize him. Come to think of it, you know what I mean? Well, looking back at least, like I'm gonna watch that fucked up movie ever again. I'll admit it, I'm a pussy when it comes to that movie, man. I'm terrified of it to
But
this day.
what I will say is I have a different take on the idea of preparing your kids for horror. How about you just don't, and you let them discover on their own if they're going to get involved with horror movies?
Yeah.
Because, let's face it, we as kids, we're going to find whatever we want to find, and we're going to either be interested or not, depending on, like, for instance, you're going to laugh, but, well, for those that know this movie, my first experience with horror was a terrifying movie when I was like 5 years old called Young Frankenstein.
That scared you?
When you are 5 years old and a big freaky monster is like terrorizing the town and, stuff like that, you don't attach the fact that it's supposed to be funny. Now, years later, I watched it and I was like, "Oh my god, this is brilliant! I love Mel Brooks for the most part. He's made a couple of stinkers, but I didn't like horror at that age. Mm-hmm. Now, fast forward to me being like 10 or so, and Nightmare on Elm Street comes out. You couldn't stop me from finding a way to watch that movie. I freaking loved that thing. It scared me half to death because it was, at the time, pretty freaking freaky. The first one.
Yeah.
Sequels, not so much. But, oh my god, I love that movie. It still, in many ways, is kind of creepy. And, you know, it doesn't quite hold up. You know, most horror movies don't because, you know, nature of the way things change. But I just say an article of how to prepare your kids for horror seems kind of broken right from the outset. Like, and you don't, in my opinion, you shouldn't be introducing your kid to horror. They will find it on their own.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. It just, the whole concept that, one, parents are such numbskull motherfuckers that they can't handle raising their own children and going, this is how you introduce them to a fucking movie. First off, is just broken and stupid in the first place. Second, the thought that you, that you need to introduce them to horror flicks is just stupid. I don't understand the point of it. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I found horror flicks back when I was a kid, besides, you know, obviously Arachnophobia, which is more of a funny story than anything. I found it on my own. I watched Nightmare on Elm Street by myself, and it was a great movie. I mean, looking back, the first one was the worst of the entire franchise, in my opinion at least. They got better and better as they went along. Well, then they had a real cheesy point, but they just got better as they went along, in my opinion. But it's just, I remember loving these things back when I was a kid, but once again, I didn't need to be introduced to it. It was me and my buddies finding this shit on our own. I remember Hutch, my cousin, going like, Stace, you need to see this shit called Friday the 13th. I'm like, what is it? He's like, dude, it's a pissed off person killing people. I went, sign me up, man. I want to watch this shit, you know? Why? Why was this necessary? I mean,
like I said, I don't think it was.
Who in the infinite wisdom was that stupid? I mean, I can't stop thinking that maybe, just maybe, people really underestimate the power of parents. Maybe it's time to... Go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, I think that it's kind of a broken idea to introduce your kids to horror at all. It's like, okay, you have the sex talk, but that talk is mostly about, you know, being protected from sexual diseases and pregnancy. You don't introduce your kids to sex. You know what I mean?
So bringing a dildo out and going, see, this is where you stick it is the wrong thing to do. Got it. Check.
Introduce your kids to sex. That could go so many bad ways.
Right, dude?
and I'm of the opinion that that's kind of the same thing with horror movies. You just let them kind of figure it out on their own, and when they come in screaming into your bedroom that, oh, Daddy, I saw this horrible movie and there was blood everywhere, you just comfort them and you give them the talk about, maybe you're not ready for this yet.
I will neither confirm nor deny it's already happened in this house, but the problem was I laughed at my son.
I mean, like I said, kids will find a way on their own.
Exactly. I quite literally just cackled like a madman when I heard this happen. I was like, ah! Told you not to watch it. Speaking of
parenting,
now,
Stacy Kruger.
Now, it should also be noted that my dad was one of those dads that he introduced me to a lot of movies that my mother would have just cringed at had she known that I was watching these movies at a young age. So, you know, dads are different.
There's just something special about it.
I mean, maybe somebody's mom is different too, but each parent is you know...
There's always that one parent
different.
likes to piss off the other one, and I am that parent.
Like I said, it's usually, like most of the stories, it's usually the dad that introduces the son to, like, oh, hey, look at this movie that's rated R that your mom would not want us to watch. She's not here. Let's watch it.
It's the old absent parent. I'm going to be the cool one.
I've never tried because I know I'm not cool, so I just have fun pissing off the other half now. But I do want to talk about something sticking on movies, though, guys. Am I the one who's guilty? I know Ryan, Robbie won't be guilty of this because you guys are the youngins of the podcast, but me, Casual, and Rad will probably go, wow, that feels like yesterday. When I think of, like, older movies back in 98, I don't think of that's an old-ass movie that's 20 years old. It just doesn't feel like it. But it kind of is. They're old as shit now. Like, I don't know, like, do you feel when you hear Half-Baked, do you think of an old-ass movie, Casual, or am I the only one that's just, like, apparently has no concept of time?
Well, I mean, I don't really think of Half-Baked in general, but the same thing could be said of, like, for instance, Toy Story. I know that's not... That's actually older, but, like, I was thinking about Toy Story for whatever reason, and I was like, oh, well, it's not that old. And then I checked the IMDb, and I was like, holy shit.
It really is that old.
Why am I so old? What happened?
I asked my question.
How did this occur?
I asked the question my same thing. Wow, that was the best English I've ever used. All right, yeah. Woo! Shit. No, dude, like, there's a whole list of, like, Half-Baked was made back January 16th, 98. It just doesn't feel that old, man. It really doesn't. Like,
I have no recollection of that movie, so
really?
Sure. What Stacy said.
It's a pretty funny movie.
Was I the only one sitting there hitting the bong watching it the entire time?
Yeah.
Probably.
Here's one that I know Rad watched a lot. Spice World was made January 23rd, 98.
Holy
Speak for
Again,
yourself, Stacy.
Not a movie I think about when I think of movies that I've watched.
Rad, we know you have your
haven't
collector's
watched
edition. Don't even try. Don't even try. We know you have a collector's edition of this movie. Do you still have your posters on your wall, Ryan, of Spice World? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. God
I used to
damn
love
it.
that.
I don't think Ryan was even old enough to know what a movie was at that point.
Wedding Singer. Does anybody remember Wedding Singer?
Back when Adam Sandler was good, right before he started his slide into mediocrity.
I would argue that Adam Sandler was never good.
Well, I mean, Billy Madison was pretty good.
Little Nicky was all right.
Yeah, Little Nicky was very good. Really? You didn't like Little Nicky?
The only movie that I like of Adam Sandler's is Happy Gilmore,
Agreed.
and the only reason that I like it is because Bob Barker beats him up.
Really? I'm kind of disappointed. I mean, you of all
Price is
people,
wrong, Bob.
No, the price is right, bitch. I don't know, man. Like, I'm actually amazed, Casual, because I've always thought you've been the person that'd been like, wow, Adam Sandler, he was great before this point.
No. I don't think Adam Sandler was ever good. I take it back. There is one other good movie that most people probably haven't seen or even heard of his, where he shows a little bit of range. I can't remember the name of it, but basically he's babysitting for a couple of kids and like his nephews and niece or something like that. And
It's not Big Daddy, is it?
Bedtime stories?
No. What was that?
Bedtime stories?
Yes.
Is that the one
Yes.
where all that bullshit comes true from his stories?
Yes,
Dude.
everything that he says comes true, and that is a great, like, one of those stories that has, like, it's just a feel-good movie kind of thing. He doesn't do his typical Adam Sandler-y things, which is, in my opinion, why he's not very good, because he does all those Adam Sandler things he does.
That has to be
If
one
all-
of his worst movies ever made, in my opinion.
If all the things in his stories come true, that's when you want to introduce your kids to sex.
God damn it. Robbie! God damn it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I agree.
Robbie.
You know what? This is why I was hoping you would have gone to. This is when you want to introduce them to It. That would have taken. But no, Robbie had to be like, no, I'm going to be the perverted one. God damn it, Robbie. Does anybody have any lava soap I could scrub myself clean with? Jesus Christ. I love you, Robbie. Dark City. Who here remembers Dark City?
I love Dark City.
Right? Wasn't it amazing?
That movie was so cool. It unfortunately came out right before The Matrix, and it just kind of got buried by... It didn't have very good marketing, and basically once The Matrix came out a year later, everybody forgot about it.
See, like, I loved it because this was one of the things that, like... When you are really fucked up on drugs, you think of some really crazy theories. And then I saw this one, oh my God, someone has the same thought as me? You know, it was definitely one of those.
Technically, it was kind of The Matrix before The Matrix.
Yep.
Like, it had kind of the same plot. The only difference is that it was aliens instead of robots.
Mm-hmm. And apparently they were terrified of water for some fucked up reason. But it was weird.
that was weird, but the whole movie was weird, but it was great. It had this weird neo-noir thing going on, plus aliens, plus psychic powers, plus it was just crazy and awesome.
Dude, I loved it. And that's another one of those ones where I stop and go, it can't be that long ago. Nope, it was made February 27th, 98. It just doesn't feel that old. One movie that does show its age, but it feels timeless because it's so good, would be The Big Lebowski.
You know, I will agree that is a good movie. Possibly even a great movie. But I do not... And it might be because I did not see that movie when it came out. I saw it, like, years later after everyone and their dog and cat and kitchen sink was hyping it up to me. And... It was a good movie. It was funny. It was Coen Brothers. You know, they're really good at doing stuff. I don't think it was as good as people say it was, though.
Really?
Like, I feel like it's one of those movies that got overhyped.
I will disagree with you to the floor mat here, man. Like I thought it was an amazing flick because it was so fucking weird. It was so off the wall. It was just so stupid. It was amazing.
That being said, the dude abides.
I mean, it was so fucking good, man. I can't say enough good things about this flick. But once again, it's kind of stop and go. It definitely shows its age because of a lot of the themes and a lot of things that were going on, the fashion sense, stuff like that. But fucking hell,
it kind of becomes so there's a thing in Hollywood where they call it a quote period piece, where it's made in, let's say, the 1980s, but it's set in the 50s. It's set in a period. Some movies end up becoming a period piece even though they were set in the period they were made. For instance, Back to the Future.
Yep.
That movie still holds up, but it is a period piece now. It is a snapshot of the 80s. You know, it personifies the thing that it was trying to personify, which is remarkable in and of itself. Like, it was so focused on being about time travel and being about the 80s and everything and the 50s. It ended up without trying, it ended up being the perfect image of the 80s. Which, there are plenty of movies that were made in the 80s that are just, you know, forgettable.
Yeah, there was. I don't know. I'm still pissed that we don't have true hoverboards, sons of bitches.
I will give credit to all the people that are trying. They're still trying to make real hoverboards. So
Here's one that
maybe
kind of.
one day.
Here's one movie that I just completely forgot existed. Was made back March 13th, 1998. It was. I'll say the fucking month and date because we all know these are 98. The Man in the Iron Mask.
That's
my neighbors
actually
are
a
going
really good
fucking
movie.
nuts out. Could you hear that? One of my neighbors just sound like a fucking cow getting a fist up its ass.
And how would you know what that sounds like?
You know what, Rad? I don't judge what you do on your off time. Don't judge what I do. I got the window shut, folks. I apologize. Go ahead,
That's
Rad.
right.
I'll
You're
catch
in
you.
Minnesota. That's what you do in your free time. All right, my bad. Continue.
Just because my ex-girlfriend looked like one doesn't mean shit. Her nickname was Moo.
Ladies and gentlemen, hot takes incoming.
Go ahead, Casual. I'm sorry, buddy.
I actually really liked Man in the Iron Mask. I know some people give it some flack because it was early Leo DiCaprio, and he didn't become a great actor until he started doing stuff with Martin Scorsese. But that's beside the point. I like that movie because it has a different take on the Three Musketeers, and I always saw them in other projects as like the classic, like, oh, swashbuckling morons that just we'll save the day all for one, blah blah blah. But that movie took kind of like a more realistic take on almost everything, and if you're looking for kind of a Renaissance-y period piece that isn't all Errol Flynn Robin Hood-y, that's a good movie. Like, I liked it.
I got another one. May 20th, the movie that so many like me who are fans of Godzilla wanted to forget about and still are cursed by is the American Godzilla.
I forgot that was in 98 because it's
Oh.
a terrible movie.
Godzilla, is that the one with Tetopoulos? Oh, the worm guy.
Dude. Oh, God. So many of us wanted to forget this fucking movie ever existed. I remember legitimately Toho made another Godzilla flick, and all they did was they made like 3 different ones, and 2 of them they were making fun of the American Godzilla, saying how it wasn't a legitimate Godzilla, how it was just shitty. And then in the
It was.
Final Wars, oh yeah, and Toho Final Wars, or excuse me, Godzilla Final Wars, he actually went to I think it was New Zealand and fought Zilla, the American Godzilla, and it lasted, no shit, this fight lasted 30 seconds. Zilla came like, came racing after him. Godzilla's like, oh nice, hit him with the tail, dies immediately. I'm just like, yeah, yep, Toho, we deserve that. For that abortion of Godzilla, we deserve that. That was the worst thing, and this is the thing that so many of us wish we could forget. Jesus H. Christ.
When I was
I
little,
remember from that movie, it had, the Madison Square Garden. Totally not Velociraptors.
Oh, fucking dumbass. Fucking. Go ahead, Robbie. I'm sorry, buddy.
I was saying when I was little, like on the promotional art, it had like the Godzilla eye. My local store, like when it ran out of like Godzilla crap to sell, it had like a little, it had like a display stand with like a holographic eye. They let me take that home with me because I thought it was cool. And my friend also had one of those Godzilla toys where it was like a puppet. You stuck your hand up his ass.
Oh,
and
that
made the
one.
mouth move.
Yeah, I had that
Yeah.
one. Don't
I used to
judge
love that
me,
thing.
Ryan. You fucker. He's over here looking at me, scoffing like,
You just didn't put your fist up there, I'm imagining.
well.
Although I
I
will
had
say that
the,
that
Must
movie
experiment.
that movie spawned a decent enough cartoon show.
You know, the cartoon was actually halfway decent. You're absolutely right. Where the movie was, it caused abortions, whether it meant to or not. Like, if women were at home just going, oh, God, and just dug out the coat hangers and started raking it. It was so bad. Like, I can't bring my baby into a world with this. It was that bad.
I had the collectible plastic cup with the giant cup you get at the theater, had the hologram wrapped around it.
Oh, I think I had that one too. Me being the Godzilla freak, I was like, I have to go to get everything, and then I saw it. I was like, what the fuck is this? Another one, another great, amazing movie from '98, May 22nd. And Casual, I'm guessing you're going to say you thought it wasn't that great because that's what Casual does. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
That is an awesome movie, but it is really hard to watch.
Really?
Because it is a trippy as fuck movie.
I didn't know that was 98.
I still watch that to this day. Like, I watch on a rather regular basis. Relatively, well, for me, being the movie watcher that I'm not, relatively regular. So maybe once, twice a year.
That is, it's not a biopic, right? It's hard to describe because it's about Hunter S. Thompson.
Well, it was written by him,
sort of.
directed by him, and it was less about him. It was more about his alter ego, Raoul Duke, and it was what happened in his drug trips. Whether or not those things actually happened is a totally different story.
It was sort of autobiographical, but not really. Like I said, it's a super trippy movie, and both what's his face and the other one.
Are you talking about the actors?
Yeah,
Johnny Depp
remember.
and
Johnny Depp and
what the hell is that guy's name?
Benicio del Toro.
Yes, thank you.
Benicio del Toro, acting god. And just seeing him in that movie is kind of proof, combined with some of the other things he's done. If you don't know the other things he's done, he's been in The Usual Suspects. He's been in a movie called Traffic. He was in Sicario. He will be in Soldado, Sicario 2. He was also in a really cool movie called The Hunted, I think it was, with where he's basically going through. Anyway, I'm way off topic.
June 5th, The Truman Show.
I like that movie.
That show fucked me up so bad as a kid because just pull back the veil a little bit here. Stacy's had mental problems his entire life. And me, I've always been like, are people watching me my entire life? It's pathetic. I know it's stupid. You aren't, except for Ryan, who's staring at me very awkwardly right now. I know they're not, but I couldn't help but think it. And, I still struggle with it to this day. I went and saw The Truman Show. I walked out the theater going, oh, fuck me. Oh, fuck me, it's real. But it was a great flick. It actually sold you on it. You couldn't help but lose yourself in the movie. Once again, because, Jim Carrey is an amazing actor.
It was one of the first movies that showed Jim Carrey was an amazing actor. It was one of those movies where it showed that he had range.
Okay, yes.
Like he was still Jim Carrey, but he was also very dramatic, especially at the end, and it showed that he could do more. It's just a shame that he kind of went crazy.
Well,
but Hollywood.
I remember the vast majority of the Truman Show. The part I remember the most: "Good morning," and in case I don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
I used to use that line on my show.
Yeah, he said that a few times.
Yep.
So it's not unheard of to remember it.
Yeah, it's a great line though, and I do have to say though, this may be going with Casual saying that trailers and movie theaters fucking up a movie before you even go to see it. I remember going to see The Truman Show, and I never really watched the previews. I just saw that it was supposed to be a great flick, and me being me, I was like, Jim Carrey's awesome. I went to go see it, and they're like, here's the button, and it said Free Truman on it. I went, Free Truman? What Truman's going to be locked up in the movie? What's going to happen? And then instantly, once again, that whole huge chunk of the movie's ruined for you. Oh shit! It's it's about a guy living in a TV show that's going to get busted out. Instantly, you knew that, and I was like, God damn it,
Yeah. They even gave away. It was out of context, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the trailer literally had the last scene in the movie where he says that line and walks through the door out of the stage. Now, you wouldn't have had context for that, like what that was in the movie, but it did show it. So it's kind of like, oh, well, thanks.
I always kind of
Right.
wondered what would they have done if, instead of being like a regular guy that they watched, if Truman was just one of those weirdos that masturbated a lot.
Well, that not to get too heavily into the Truman Show, but that was kind of the dynamic, the problem with everything that was going on in universe is that his life. They kept saying, "Oh, it's the greatest show ever because his life isn't scripted, and all we get to see what a real life is of a." But it was scripted. Like his life was being planned out by
Yep.
the one guy, so it was even creepier on that level.
Well, Truman himself wasn't scripted. Everything else was.
Right,
Which is what Kat was
but
getting at.
if everything else is scripted, then you're kind of being railroaded into a certain direction. And also, the first girlfriend, she was hotter than the other one.
Right, dude? Right? Shit.
But that concept does give you some good moments, like she's advertising to nobody. She's advertising to thin air. Like, who are you talking to?
Yeah. I will say there is one minor thing that sort of breaks down, and that's the idea that everything that goes wrong that causes him to question his entire reality goes wrong in the span of like a week.
Right? That one
Like if
bothered me.
If you stop to think about it, you're like, okay, he's lived for 30 plus years and nothing else ever went wrong in this way. Come on. But it's one of those semantic things. I can get past it. It's a good movie.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things I remember watching back when I was a kid even. I was like, that makes no sense. How the fuck can you last that long? But hey, whatever. June 19th. I'll make a man out of you. Anyone?
Toy Story.
No idea.
Oh, for Christ's sake. Mulan, motherfucker. Toy Story.
No idea.
Mulan. The whole I'll make a man out of you meme.
I missed it. I could have
No
said
idea.
Pinocchio.
God damn, that's I'll make a boy out of you. Oh boy. But now Mulan, the whole chick decides to cross dress as a man and go fight movie.
Yeah, I know the movie.
I've never seen it in my entire life. I've just seen that one fucking. She dresses up as a guy. And I'll make a man out of you. I'm like, oh, putting it. How pointed.
That's probably
It's actually a pretty good Disney movie.
yeah, it's pretty decent. The song is probably the most memorable part of it, though.
Here's another one I've never heard of in my entire life. 98. Hey, no shit. It's all about 98, Stacy. June 19th. Fucking hell. The Celebration. Anyone? At all? Heard of this one?
What you celebrating?
It's the movie name. No one?
It's a shit
idea.
celebration.
No one has ever heard of The Celebration?
Survey says wrong answer.
Well, congratulations to GameSpot. You came with a big stinker on that one. June 26th. Out of Sight.
Yes. That is actually a really great romantic comedy / heist movie, and also has weird levels of violence in it. It stars George Clooney as a thief who gets out of jail, and he breaks out of jail, and Jennifer Lopez is an FBI agent who is, or a marshal or something like that, who is sent to find him. She's on the case.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a thing, and it's one of those almost an indie movie. You know, those movies that nobody ever watches because they were only at Cannes Film Festival and then in 4 theaters. That's kind of the way it feels, but it was a wide release. It's just almost nobody saw it, but it's a pretty good movie. If you are into that kind of thing, if romantic comedy type movies aren't your thing, then you're probably going to be bored as hell because that's all it is.
Sounds
Wait,
good.
what did they do to Batman?
But I will say George Clooney is not Batman. But I will say that there is a character in that movie that makes an appearance in a completely different movie as the same character. So in Out of Sight, Michael Keaton plays a FBI agent. I can't remember his name. But then in Jackie Brown, he plays the exact same character, only he's a part of the ATF. And I can't remember the full story on why they decided to do that, but basically behind the scenes, the answer to the question, is he the same character, is yes. He is the exact same character, just in two different movies that are completely unrelated.
Here's one from June 26th that I've heard the name, never seen, a Buffalo 66.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it? Anybody?
No.
Okay. Another stinker, like I said, I've heard the name, never bothered watching it because I just didn't give enough of a shit. Oh, this movie. July 1st, 1998. The stinker of stinkers, which I still think Godzilla beat it out, though, because it was that much worse. Armageddon.
Deep Impact was better. Also,
Yes,
same year.
I will not argue that one bit.
The only thing I remember from Armageddon is the Don't Want to Miss a Thing song.
Yep. The thing that saved
Yeah.
Aerosmith's career.
Aerosmith singing a love song while his daughter is made love to on screen.
Yeah,
That's some weird shit right there.
Yeah, I know. I know. Oh, God, I know. You know,
I will say that there is one part of the movie that I do enjoy, and that is when Steve Buscemi is blasting away at the asteroid saying, "Don't worry, guys, I'll take care of this." And I like it because Steve Buscemi being crazy in the scene is hilarious, but also somebody actually says the words space madness.
yep, I remember that. I was giggling my ass off about that.
Like, oh my God, did you really just say space madness?
Oh, and he said it
stupid
like it was something. Oh, everybody knows that. Yeah, space madness.
He said it with such a straight face, like,
And he
Oh
didn't
my
explain
God.
it at all. He just said it.
Just a throwaway line, like it's no big deal. NBD, Space Madness. You know, my favorite part of this is just because it really showed the early Michael Bay being fucking Michael Bay moments. Ben Affleck.
oh, plenty of flags, lots of explosions.
Ben Affleck himself addressed absurdity on the DVD commentary track, saying, "I asked Michael Bay why it was easier to train oil drillers to become astronauts than train
Oh, yeah.
astronauts to become
That's the
oil
greatest
trailers."
quote.
And
He said, "Shut the."
he told me,
fuck
"Shut
up."
the fuck up," and that was the end of the talk.
Like that is the perfect quote to describe how Michael Bay treats movies and movie watchers. He doesn't care. He's just going to make the movie he's going to make.
Because fuck you. That's why. I love that,
pretty
dude.
much.
But yeah, Aerosmith had its career saved by that movie. His daughter got fucked on that movie while singing it, and the movie itself was a complete and utter stinker. Besides the fact of what's her name, the Tyler chick's what's her name again?
Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler's sweet ass was on that movie. That was the only saving grace to it.
Should be noted that that's a great song.
Wow.
It's attached to a crappy movie, but it's a pretty good song.
Was that a mosquito in here?
It was okay.
It's a ballad. It's a ballad, but not all ballads are bad.
It's okay pre-generated crap because they didn't even bother writing it themselves. They had
Well,
it was offered
I mean-
to a pop star before them, and they went, pop star was like, I don't want that, and Aerosmith's like, we'll take it.
But Aerosmith did a great job with it. You can't argue that.
When you
I
have
mean,
something written for you, and here's the blooper. That's why cover bands are so great, because they already have it written for them. You don't have to create it. Oh, this is going to get me on a tangent I don't want to get onto. Number 15 from July 10th, Small Soldiers, as a movie I completely forgot about, and it was horribly forgettable.
I used to love that movie as a
I've actually
kid.
seen that one.
That is okay. So Toy Story came out like 4 years earlier. I think 90.
Toy Story was 95.
95? Okay. So Toy Story had come out, and basically somebody saw Toy Story, and they said, I want to do that too. But what they came up with was a movie that is surprisingly awful. And, well, I mean, it's awful just in general, but awful in the sense that Toy Story was a happy movie about toys coming to life, and there was that slightly scary moment with Sid and all of that stuff. Yeah. But overall, it had a good story to tell. It was friendly to kids. Small Soldiers was the exact opposite. It was about toys coming to life and killing people.
Yeah, it's the 90s doing what the 90s does best and making everything extreme.
But it wasn't even like, it wasn't billed as a horror movie, but it kind of was. Like, it was kind of messed up. Like, who created these horrible toys? And also, I have never in my life, before or since, seen a toy that was that awesome. No toy is made that well. And I hate it when movies make a toy that is so awesome that nobody lives up to it.
I don't know.
How do you think I feel at the time? Like, I was like 7 or 8, at the perfect age of thinking, oh shit, I want a toy like that.
Honestly, dude, I remember watching that movie and going, God, this is fucking awful.
What I also loved about it is it was somebody's really ham-fisted commentary on U.S. soldiers and war, because the movie was about a bunch of, like, soldiery toys, like, you know, square-jawed whatever toys, which were on the front cover of the movie. Like, they were the quote stars, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they were the bad guys. It was the cat people aliens that were basically an analogy. No, that's not the right word, but something close to that for Native Americans, and they were trying to kill them and take all their stuff, and it was like so ham-fisted and such a bad movie. Oh, so bad.
Here's one I've never heard of in my entire life. Pi, as in P-I, back on July 10th. Anybody have ever heard of this?
No, the only Pie movies I've heard of is Life of Pi or American Pie.
American Pie, what a horseshit movie.
I love that as a kid.
Holy shit, was this that old?
So, Stacy, you and I, we didn't grow up when American Pie was big, but American Pie was that generation's Animal House. Or,
okay, yeah.
Or Breakfast Club, or, well, maybe not Breakfast Club, but every generation gets their own set of raunchy comedies that is only for them, and that's what American Pie was. That's why it was so popular. I agree with you, though. It was a crappy movie.
Yeah, but I liked it because I was that generation it was for.
Right, yeah, and that's fine. You know, we're all allowed to like those things that are terrible, but not really...
True. Very true. Very, very true. I don't know. It was so, being really fucked up and watching that movie, it wasn't as bad, but that's because I was on a lot of drugs and really drunk. At that point, it was hilarious until you sobered up and went, that wasn't funny at all. What the fuck? And it just went further and further in absurdity, like, as it went on. Like, pretty soon the dad hosted, like, a fucking nude run for some reason at some call. It was just fucking dumb.
Eventually that franchise ran itself into the ground by having, like, they didn't even have any of the original cast, I don't think, except for what's-his-face that played the dad, and he was just doing the same, running through the motions.
Yeah. Dad was played by Eugene Levy.
Eugene Levy, yeah. Which, poor Eugene Levy to get stuck being remembered for that role when he has done so many more things that I can't remember because I only remember that role.
Game, set, match. Here's a movie that the one that I was like going, holy shit, I can't believe it's that old, and it just blows my mind. Saving Private Ryan was July 24th, 98.
Such a good movie.
I can't believe it's that old. It doesn't feel that old at all. It doesn't. It holds itself so true where it doesn't show its age. It's a great movie. You can watch to this day and not go, wow.
Still one of the few war movies that both. So there's this thing in war movies where a lot of people that make war movies, their intent is never to glorify war. They want to show the horrors of war. Mm-hmm. The problem is, if you don't do it well, the movie sucks and nobody gets that message. If you do it too well, you end up glorifying war. For example, Starship Troopers.
Or Inglourious Bastards.
That one was okay.
I felt it glorified it. Not
yes,
in a bad
that's
way,
the problem. They both, those kinds of movies glorify it. In my opinion, Saving Private Ryan is one of the rare few examples where they do not glorify war, and that Omaha Beach or Normandy Beach scene just, it makes you not want to ever fight in a war ever.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, that is one of the most terrifying scenes. Like, that's one of those scenes that you can finally start to understand why your grandpa or great-grandpa doesn't want to talk about his time in World War II. Of course, most of those people are not even alive anymore.
Yeah, my granddad was in Normandy.
Speaking of that Normandy scene, they had test screenings before the movie came out. They had a bunch of veterans in the audience, of World War II, people that were there. They actually had to stop the movie for about 20 minutes while some of them actually had to leave the theater for a while to kind of recompose themselves.
Yeah.
It was that authentic.
Why?
You know, honestly, I have no problem with a movie that wants to glorify a war. I mean, if that's your opinion, that's your opinion. I don't give a flying fuck. That's part of the reason why I actually liked Inglourious Bastards, because they glorified it, and it was just somebody's opinion.
I'm just saying that some filmmakers their intent is not to glorify
I misunderstood
war,
you. I'm sorry, dude.
but it ends up glorifying war because it's so good. Like, for instance, James Cameron, you would probably be shocked to find out he hates the military and he thinks war is the worst thing on earth. But if you watch any of his movies, he makes it look like the greatest thing on planet Earth to be all gung-ho and for combat.
Really? I'm actually kind of surprised by that. Next up, we only have two more left on this list. July 31st, basketball. Who remembers basketball?
Very vaguely.
I was already on my way out of my love of South Park by that point, and when I heard that those two guys were doing a live-action movie, I was like, oh, that's the end. I didn't realize that they would have so much more to say and South Park would last for like 30 seasons, but I was like, that usually when creators go out and do something like that, it's the beginning of the end.
But dude, basketball was so good. It was fucking hilarious. I mean, I can't say enough good things about it. It was an amazing flick. I mean, it was cheesy as shit, of course, but it was also amazing for that exact reason. I mean, it was, oh, God damn, do I love this movie. Oh, it was such a good movie. I'm really surprised you didn't like it.
I didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't see it? I thought you said you just didn't like it. I apologize.
No, I just saw the advertisements and I thought, oh, well, they're done.
Anybody else here see it besides me? Wow, I feel so lonely right now. Especially me being not a fan of South Park. I was a fan of it for a short time, and that was like after that, you know. But yeah, freaking basketball, man, Jesus. Number 19, Ever After from July 31st. No idea. Never seen it. Never even heard of it.
I believe that was like one of those live action.
It was supposed to be a fairy tale movie, yeah.
Yeah, it was a fairy tale movie, but it was like, years later or something, and it was real life, and I want to say that New York was a part of it, because New York's a part of frickin' everything, but I don't know.
It was.
I didn't see it.
Forgettable, obviously. Enough said. Oh Christ, there's even more to this list. Number 20, Halloween H2O.
That's so bad. I saw it.
See,
so
what's funny
bad.
is this is every review, all the media reviews of it is that was the movie that saved Halloween until people went and fucked it up again.
What?
Well, let's face
No!
it, it's media
Okay,
being media.
So I think a couple years earlier, or maybe even only a year earlier, there was a movie called The New Nightmare, which was the 7th Nightmare on Elm Street movie, technically, and it basically was like a hard reboot of the franchise while at the same time being like, it was this weird, like, oh, well, it's a reboot, but it's also this strange, like, it takes place in our, like suddenly Freddy is in real life, and it was very, very well thought of and all of that. But what they did is they were trying to reboot all the franchises. They failed miserably with Friday the 13th. I don't even think it got off the ground. They failed miserably with all the other ones. And then there was H2O. What's-Her-Face came back. The Scream Queen.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis came back. It was just not good, though. Like, I saw it. It was trying to do all those things that horror movies do when they run out of ideas. It was trying to be like, oh, now we're going to get a bunch of backstory on all the characters, and now this, and now that, and oh, isn't this amazing? And it's not. It was terrible.
Here's one we've talked about finally on the stream. On the podcast. I did it again, guys. Blade, August 21st.
Such a good movie.
Freaking Blade, man. 20 years. It doesn't, once again, it's another one of those movies that does not feel 20 years old. There's a couple on this list where like, yeah, that feels 20. But this one doesn't feel 20.
I could have swore Blade was 97, but I guess I was wrong.
Rush Hour, September 18th. That one, I would say it doesn't necessarily hold up, but it's still funny.
I don't
I
remember.
like Rush Hour. I like Jackie Chan movies.
Oh, yeah, the one with Jackie Chan. They're talking about making a fourth one.
And
Yep.
Chris Tucker.
Yep, that one. Ugh.
Yeah. I'm indifferent about the first one was fine. The second one was more of the same. The third one was unnecessary. If they do a fourth one, it will be more unnecessary, and Jackie Chan is like 70.
The fourth one better be in a retirement home.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, they better be making all the old jokes for a fourth one, because... And what they should do with the fourth one is kind of be a little bit meta with it and make a bunch of old jokes about Jackie Chan and where you been jokes about Chris Tucker, because he kind of dropped off the map.
Another one that only if you were a stoner did you like, Night at the Roxbury's, October 2nd.
Never saw it.
Nuff said. You were never a stoner, were you?
No.
Nuff said, ladies and gentlemen. I saw it because my buddies were stone baked off their ass. Like, you have to watch this. And I watched it like, oh man, even baked, this wasn't very good. Rushmore, October 9th. Never heard of it.
One of the very few movies that, what's his face directed? He was also in it, I think.
Jason Schwartzman?
No. Well, maybe I'm thinking.
Yeah,
of a
he was
different
the actor, and he shot the movie when he was 17.
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson, what is that? As Wes Anderson's second film. Okay, yep. So Wes Anderson was the director, but it says that he wasn't when he shot. Oh, never mind. So Jason Schwartz was the actor. Wes Anderson was the director.
Yeah, Wes Anderson is one of those, like, you cannot really fit his movies into a genre. Wes Anderson is his own genre. He's made about 8 or 9 films now. His latest one is in theaters now. It's called Isle of Dogs.
Oh, that crap. That looks like such garbage.
He is very... You might not like it, but like I said, Wes Anderson is his own genre, and people that like Wes Anderson, they'll like all of his stuff because it's all pretty much the same.
Here's everyone ready to jeer me for going, how could you not know this movie? Because I'm sure it's huge. John Carpenter's Vampires, October 30th. I've never heard of this movie ever.
That's not surprising. That was towards the end of John Carpenter's reign as the horror master. He was trying to do different things. After that, he would make Ghosts of Mars, not a very good movie with either Ice-T or Ice Cube.
Oh, that's the one that Buckethead wrote all the music for. That was an amazing soundtrack.
I don't know, but the point is that vampires with a dollar sign, like the S is a dollar sign, was... If you like vampire flicks, you're probably going to like it because it was yet another different take on vampire flicks. Like, it had its own, like, thing that it was doing, and it was interesting from that perspective. But if you're not, like, a vampire flick aficionado like I am, then it's a completely forgettable movie starring, a piece of candy. Can't remember his name.
James Woods.
Thank you. James Woods.
I love that.
Yeah, I knew somebody would get the reference when I said "Ooh, a piece of candy." It stars James Woods and one of the lesser-known Baldwins.
Now, here comes another stupid question. The "Ooh, piece of candy." What the hell was that a reference to besides... I know it's off of Family Guy, but what was that a joke on?
It literally... Somebody was trying to lead James Woods out of their house or into their house, and they dropped pieces of candy.
Well, I didn't know if that was like a reference to a movie or something.
No,
okay.
It was just one of those weird Family Guy things.
Okay, figured so. Thank you.
And for whatever reason, James Woods was like, "Ooh, a piece of candy." And he picked up it, ate it, and said, "Ooh, a piece of candy." And he followed the entire trail until he was trapped.
Here's one that...
Yeah,
go ahead.
I like it. I like it in the episodes... after that, where James Woods comes back, and they do the exact same thing, and they think like let's remember this straight off the bat because he's done this twice now.
Here's one that I didn't know it was this old because once again it holds itself so well. American History X was October 30th, 98.
That is a fucked up and awesome movie,
right, dude? I love it because it shows the. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, bud.
I was just gonna. You go ahead.
I love it because it showed the evolution of somebody who is has a horrible disaster happen with his family. It twists his brain to hate, and then he has to go through this horrific experience to realize, wait, was hate worth it? Why do I hate this? Why do I hate these people just because they have a different skin color? Comes out of it, tries to change his family, and ends up losing his family because they hate nevertheless, or at least part of his family. It's just an emotional roller coaster. Holy shit!
It's one of those rare movies that has a very distinct unhappy ending because Hollywood doesn't like unhappy endings since about the 70s.
Yeah.
And it has a message that it sort of hits you over the head with, but not in a way where you're like, oh, I'm done listening to this message. It gets its point across by the end of it, and you're like, wow.
One of my favorite moments.
I need to reevaluate my entire life,
Right?
It's like, holy crap.
One of my favorite moments in the entire movie, and it's really it's so, the imagery of it was so perfect, was when Derek, Edward Norton's character, Derek Vineyard, or is it Vineyard? It was pronounced Vineyard, right?
Remember.
Anyway, Derek just got done killing the black guy who was trying to break into his car and steal it.
Holy crap, that scene was so messed up.
But, the imagery was so perfect because he gets done shooting him, cops show up, lays his gun down, puts his head, hands behind his head, kneels down, looking at his brother, smiling like, aren't you proud of what I did? Cop hand goes on his wrist, instantly his face changes, going, oh, fuck, this got real, what just happened? He went from fantasy, I'm a perfect soldier land, to going, what just happened? Why did I do this moment? You know, it was just perfect. Like, I can't describe how great that one scene was. No, not great as in like, oh yeah, yo, good. No, like great as an amazing symmetry.
Yeah.
Wow, good job, Stacey. Cinematography. It was just so good. Fuck. Like, oh, this movie. I can't believe it's from that 98. It doesn't feel that old, like, at all. Another amazing, amazing Adam Sandler movies, which was actually decent. Waterboy from November 6th.
Okay, I not. Yeah, that was okay.
Forgettable one that I've never heard of. Meet Joe Black, November 13th.
Never heard of that.
That is a better movie than people give it credit for. It stars Anthony Hopkins, and it's kind of a weird. There's been every once in a while these weird movies that come out that are like not really romantic comedies, but I would call that a romantic dramedy. Basically, Brad Pitt meets this woman, and they kind of flirt a little in like a coffee shop or something, and she's kind of interested, but he's kind of like he doesn't know if she is. He leaves, and he decides to turn around and see if she's looking. You know, one of those classic moments. Is she looking? Am I gonna get a date? You know, mm-hmm. As he turns around, she's coming out of the cafe. She doesn't even notice him. He gets hit by a truck and then a car. Like, the truck hits him going one way, he flips around, and a car going the other way hits him. He is way dead. Death takes over his body to experience life, and this is where most people did not like this movie, because they're like, oh, what the hell is this crap? But it's a great little just moment as Death learns about life through this woman, and at the end of it, Anthony Hopkins has basically, Death goes to Anthony Hopkins and says, prepare yourself. And the rest of the movie is Anthony Hopkins like trying to figure out, well, I'm not ready to die. I don't care that I'm old and I'm rich and all this other stuff. I want to keep living. And it's about Anthony Hopkins learning to accept that he is mortal, and Death kind of learning that maybe Death shouldn't have killed this guy just so that it could experience life. And it's kind of like a sort of bittersweet ending. And, like, it's not a movie that most people like.
That sounds like the cheeseball-est shit on earth.
It is. Oh, it absolutely is. It's definitely cheeseball, like sappy storytelling stuff. But I'm kind of a sucker for that stuff.
All right, let's get through the rest of this list because it's way longer than I thought it was. Enemy of the State, November 20th. Never heard of it.
Will
Smith
at the height of his powers. It's actually not a bad movie. It's not the greatest movie, but it's like a spy thriller-y kind of thing.
Another flick. I remember going to see the movie with my dad. I took a date with me because, you know, going to see a movie, going to take a date out to a movie, you always take your dad, because I was that kind of kid. Yeah, I was that motherfucker. A Bug's Life, November 25th.
Still waiting on that sequel.
Early Pixar.
Dude, my dad loved that so much he took one of his dates to it. Needless to say, he didn't get laid that night because she thought he was a total fucking idiot. The fuck you taking me to a kid's movie for?
A Bug's Life is not a kid's movie.
Oh, that's a kid's
Pixar movie.
It's a kid's movie. 31, Shakespeare in Love, December 11th. Never heard of it.
I've heard basically the idea of Shakespeare in Love is that it's set in the time when Shakespeare was making his plays, right? and he is one of the most famous playwrights like ever. Some controversy about whether or not he actually wrote them, but who cares? The movie is about his life at the time being the story of how he got all of his inspiration for his plays.
Okay.
Like everything that was happening in his life at the time. It's a complete fiction. But the idea is that Shakespeare is in love and he's having this whole experience through his life, and everyone he meets is a character that will eventually become a part of his plays, which are the greatest plays of history.
Another fun fact about it: this was directed by John Madden.
What?
Not the one you're thinking.
Boom! And then we put like fucking 30 legs on this goddamn thing, and boom! Turkey with fucking 30 legs.
I still call it a victory. I got Stacey to believe it was that John Madden for a little while.
Do you have no idea what I'm referencing, Ryan?
No.
Ryan doesn't know the John Madden turkey leg thing. Who here knows what I'm talking about besides Rad?
I actually don't either, because I don't follow anything related to him except for the football game, which I also don't follow.
Robbie, I can understand why you wouldn't, because you're from a different country. He was a play-by-play guy after he was done with his football career. He went into play-by-play, and he was known for making random sounds and like circling on the monitor, shit that doesn't matter. Like, look over here, and they got over here, and then boom! It's like, what the fuck, Madden? Did you just have a seizure?
Turning everything around to Brett Favre.
Oh, fuck, everything was Brett Favre.
Really, what I think we can take the lesson away from is that head trauma is really a bad thing.
But he was known for every Thanksgiving for the football game, he would make a turkey, but then he eventually said, fuck it, I'm going to put more legs in this turkey. So pretty soon it had like 8, 10, 12 legs.
So John Madden was known for the turducken.
Oh, I forgot he was a turducken, wasn't he? He created that, didn't he?
He's a turducken guy.
Oh, shit, Madden. 32, The Prince of Egypt, December 18th.
As a little kid, little religious boy, I had to watch that.
Oh, I forgot, yeah, you're a religious boy. Was that, is that a religious movie then?
Well, yeah, it's like the story of Moses, essentially.
It's an animated story of Moses. It's not bad, like, for what it was. I mean...
I'm just going to say, I only got interested in that after, like, last year, learning about Egypt's history. Grace was watching it. And I was like, oh, hey, Egypt. And that's about it.
33, December 18th, You Got Mail. If this isn't a dated fucking movie, holy shit.
So, is that the sequel to Sleepless in Seattle? Because it's literally the same movie.
Exactly.
All three of the Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks movies are the same movie. It's just... You've Got Mail kind of was the sequel because it was back. It's also a great snapshot of the internet at the time because AOL was actually huge, and literally the title is from AOL's like messaging thing saying "You've got mail," which was so annoying.
Possibly one of the greatest movies I've ever seen, and I completely forgot it was 98. Patch Adams, December 25th.
That's a sad movie.
But heartbreaking, but heart-melting at the same time. It's just a wonderful movie.
Good movie, but one of those bittersweet kind of things.
Yeah, true, but shit. I love the fact that, you know, the guy, Patch Adams himself, was still alive when the movie was being made, and you know, it was put out and he went and saw it. It was just, oh, God. And he still does. I want to say Patch Adams is still alive, isn't he? To this day?
I don't know.
I have no friggin' idea. Here. DuckDuckGo, help me.
Yes, he's still alive.
Yes, okay, thank you.
He did not care for the movie whatsoever.
He didn't, eh? Wow, I did not know that. I never bothered.
Robin Williams still killed it on that movie, so
yeah. God, what a heartbreaking movie, but just heart melt. It's fucking good movie. The Facility, December 25th. No idea.
Do you mean The Faculty?
Oh, Faculty. Did I say? I knew what I meant. Does that count? Thank you.
that was one of those horror movies that involved young teen characters that were played by 20-year-olds.
And finally, the end of this fucking list. I probably should have looked at it to realize how long it was before we got started. I am sorry. The Thin Red Line, December 25th, 98.
Oh my god, that movie is so fucking boring.
Really?
Oh,
I remember hearing the name. I never bothered watching it, so I wouldn't know.
it's set in World War II, I think. And it is so... It's one of those movies that was trying to be like Oscar bait and like, oh, look at how poignant we are and look at how deep we are and look at how this and that and the other. And it did win Oscars. Oh, it won so many Oscars. It put me to sleep.
No shit, huh?
Oh, so boring.
Ladies and gentlemen, that has been Remembering 98 with a list that was way too fucking long because Stacy didn't do any prep. All right, yeah. Woo!
So, just another day.
Exactly. Casual? Go ahead.
Well, since we just had a list that was a little longer than Stacy would have wanted, we could still burn it all down.
Burn it.
You just played a game recently where they did just that.
That's what I was just about to bring in.
Okay, so we were discussing in previous weeks off podcast recording about when we were going to talk about Far Cry 5. I had some opinions, as I always do. Stacy had some opinions, and our opinions were at that time different. They might be the same now.
Ryan,
Stacy,
you poor bastard, you haven't finished this game yet. I am so sorry. We're about to crush everything you liked about this game.
I mean, I could just go into your living room and play Bloodborne, but I'll stay. I'll listen. I'll ruin my experience here.
It must also be pointed out that beforehand, Casually Challenged had beaten the game. Stacy Kruger had not. But now Stacy has beaten the game. That's why his opinion changed. Boys, the floor is yours.
Ubisoft, I would like to sit you down and talk to you real quick. I have had, mostly okay thoughts of you in the past. You had some fucked up moments, but overall, you've had a decent track record, besides the fact you make me use your shitty launcher. But you know what? I was willing to forgive the shitty launcher for a decent game. Where the fuck did you go wrong with Far Cry 5? Because here's the thing. Okay, the game itself, the side quests were so much fun, I forgot about the main storyline. Not because the main storyline wasn't driving, because it wasn't compelling. It was amazingly compelling. I was sucked into it. I felt like, fuck yeah, got back at you, seed motherfuckers. I felt so good, except for Faith. I'll get to that one in a second. Casual, I'll see if me and you differ on this. But I felt compelled to do the main storyline, but the side quests were so much fun, I couldn't help but do them. And I actually felt like I was making a difference in Hope County. Like, I felt like, wow, I'm saving people. I'm improving this place called Hope County. And, every time I defeated someone, whether it be John the Baptist, Seed, Jacob, I'm a lumberjack and that's okay, Seed, or Faith, Seed, which... Well, one second. I felt like I was making a difference. I felt like I was improving the place and helping this place recover and take its county back, right? Then you get to the end. Oh my god.
one of the worst endings in video game history, in my opinion.
I would say it is the worst because it ruined the entire game. It's like watching a movie and you go, what a great movie. What the hell did you do? Where you're like, this movie was shit because of the ending.
What happened in the ending to make the game so trash?
You had two choices. Two choices. Either,
sort of.
Well, you did. You had two choices. Either A, you could walk away from arresting Joseph Seed.
Okay. Before we get there, so I will give my impressions of the story as a whole before we get to what happens. Because first of all, there is a secret ending, just like Far Cry 4.
Which, by the way, GameSpot, fuck you for ruining that one for me, you sons of bitches.
but it's not even good. So Far Cry 4 had a secret ending where after you get like hijacked and you go meet Pagan Min, he tells you to wait here and he'll be right back. Well, if you actually wait in that room until I think it's like 10 minutes or something like
15.
Yeah, 15.
Is it 15? Okay. It takes a while, but if you literally wait, he does come right back. You take the ashes and you put them in the place where your mother was, and
Now let's
that's
go
the end.
blow some shit
And
up.
Pagan is like, he seems like not even that bad of a guy, aside from the fact that he stabbed a guy in the neck with a pen earlier on. They did kind of the same thing. It doesn't take nearly as long in Far Cry 5. If you wait, I want to say it's about 5 minutes, and it might not even be that long. You're standing there, supposed to be taking whatever his name is.
Joseph Seed.
He's so forgettable. Thank you. You're supposed to take him into your helicopter and leave. If you do nothing, he basically the sheriff or something says, Come on, Rook, let's go. And the FBI agent is like, what do you mean, let's go? What's going on? And the sheriff just says, some things just aren't meant to be. And then it rolls to credits.
Well, he also says, if we arrest him, none of us get out of here alive.
Yeah, okay. He says that. And then you're like, that's it. Just roll credits.
Yep.
Now, here's what I'm going to say about the story. First of all, the story is shit. It is one of the worst stories that Ubisoft has created, and they do not have a very good track record for stories, in my opinion. Usually, and I've said this before, they can create half of a good story. This time, they created half of a good game. The story is not the best part of Far Cry 5. The world and the side quests, they're great fun, but the main story, just, ugh. And here's why. Whether you like the story or not, this is the first game that they actively pull you into the story no matter what else you're doing at certain points.
Oh, with the hunting parties?
It doesn't matter what you're doing, suddenly... depending on which character you're going after, basically you have these landmark experience moments where you're trying to get reputation in each area. And as you build up your reputation, you reach a point where you get a resistance-like level or whatever in that area. As soon as you reach that, let's see, in Faith's case, the next couple things you kill... Mm-hmm. They turn into smoke, and then suddenly you're in a drug-fueled haze. Mm-hmm. In Jacob's case, music just starts playing out of nowhere, and then you wake up in a house, and it's the exact same every single time. That really pissed me off.
Mm-hmm.
And then in John's region, it says, "Oh, they're hunting you." Now, the first time, I got a cutscene where, out of nowhere, an arrow just went thunk right into my thigh. I blacked out because it was poison, and I was like, okay. The next time it happened, I was literally in a frickin' helicopter like 1,000 feet up, and it just said, oh, you've been captured by a guy who shot an arrow at you.
I was in the middle of a really important cutscene. I had to redo an entire
Yes, you were.
fucking huge set. Ugh.
That entire thing... Go ahead, Red.
Stacy was talking to a storyline mission character.
Uh-huh.
Was going over, oh, here's the next part of your mission. And music plays, Stacy passes out. Great. We have to do that over again.
That
Thanks,
was
Ubi.
so fucking... The worst part was when I finally passed out, I was at the very last bit, and I had to redo all of that fucking talking again.
Yeah, that pissed me off more than anything, because it's the first time that I can think of that they've ever done that. They have had areas where if you walk into this area, a cutscene starts and, oh, here's the mission and stuff. But never literally while you're doing completely different things pulled you out of the game to force the story on you. I felt like I was being raped by the story in this game. Like, it was so annoying. Now, maybe that's a little harsh. If people are offended that I just said that, I'm sorry.
You're nicer than me. I wouldn't have apologized.
Here's the thing, though. The end of the game, the end of, I think, all three of the most recent Far Cry games have had a multiple ending, you make a choice thing. And while the choices have never really been that, like it's mostly like the only reason you choose the other option is because you just want to see what happens.
Yep.
Go ahead, Stacy. Tell them what the ending was.
First off, Ryan, what is your opinion of this game thus far, of your playing of it?
So far, I mean, I love the map. I love the look of it. I like it.
Yeah.
The map is awesome.
Right? Yeah, it's amazing.
I love going around with a 50 caliber and hunting anything in sight. I love that. I mean, overall, I enjoy it.
How would you feel if everything you did was completely pointless?
Oh, like most games.
I mean, seriously, according to the story, how would you like it if everything you did was completely pointless and there was no way to continue it afterwards to finish up the rest of it like you could do in every other Far fucking Cry?
I would probably sit there and go, that fucking sucks, and that'd be it. And then start a whole new conversation with
So
them.
either you can pick the option to walk away, which is the quote-unquote bad ending. You walk away, let Joseph Seed live, let him have his flock. You drive away. All of a sudden, music starts playing. You hear air raid sirens going off, and you kill all of your friends. And that's the bad ending.
I knew that was going to lead up to that, because the one guy's like, what do you do? He's talking about that. So I knew something like that was going to happen.
Or you could pick the good ending. I'm saying this with heavy quotes around it. Good ending. You arrest Joseph Seed, or you attempt to. You have to battle him. You have to battle all of your buddies, resurrect them, take them out of their dream state, the hallucinogenic state.
Oh my god, that last fight was such bullshit.
Right, dude? Wasn't it fucking stupid? You have to do all this dumb shit. You finally arrest Joseph Seed. All of a sudden you hear air raid sirens going off. You're like, what's this? Joseph starts screaming about biblical bullshit, and nukes start falling everywhere. So you get in your truck and run away from the nukes. Which, first off, let's just talk fucking realistically. You wouldn't be able to run away from the fucking radiation and the nukes.
You climb in the nearest fridge. We've gone over this.
Yeah, come on. What's that? That's the
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. Thank you. Yeah.
4.
Sadly enough, only reason I know that reference is because of Fallout 3.
New Vegas.
It was 3. I thought.
New Vegas.
Was it 3?
That's
Was
New
it
Vegas.
Okay, yeah. New
It's
Vegas.
Wacky Wasteland in New Vegas.
Oh yes, thank you. But that's it. But yeah, then you run away in this truck. Next thing you know, a bomb drops real close to you because apparently you're impervious to fucking radiation. And all of a sudden you hear someone singing, humming biblical bullshit, like Amazing Grace or some shit like that. And you get picked up and walked away with. And you're like,
It's always Amazing Grace because apparently they didn't think to try and license any other religious songs, and Amazing Grace is one of those free songs. So that's all they ever use in this stupid game.
I would also say that they use Amazing Grace because it's as Casual said, is the lowest hanging fruit. It also works very well out of context.
That is true.
Like, oh, stuff is hitting the fan. Is somebody singing that? Wow, he's creepy. It works perfectly for that.
I thought most of those religious songs would be open, free use.
Oh
by
no,
this point.
everything's written by somebody.
What are they called? Whatever.
Well, I mean,
chat.
they're saying in churches, like those type of things. I don't know. Anyway,
Well,
sorry.
yes,
Anyways.
but
Moving on. I didn't mean to kind of get us hung up on that. I apologize. But here comes the fucking ending. You get picked up. He's humming it. All of a sudden, you wake up handcuffed to a fucking bed. You look up, and here's Creeper McCreeper Pants, Joseph fucking Seed, one of the most hollow fucking enemies of all time, staring at you, explaining to you how the world...
with that douchey beard and those stupid yellow glasses and his he is the first character in a long time that I hate him just because of his face. I want to just stab him right in his eyes.
So that wasn't just me.
Is
No.
he taking off his trousers?
Oh, God damn it, Robbie. In before, Tumblr has some type of fanfic for that.
I'm sure there's a mod for that, Robbie, coming.
What you said?
Oh
what you said you were-
no. Definitely no mods for Ubisoft games.
Oh,
They've
I
got
suppose
all
it's
of their
Ubi, yeah.
anti-cheat crap, and
Fuck
they
you,
are
Ubi.
the least mod-friendly people around.
Can we get a huge FU to Ubisoft real quick here? 3, 2, 1. Fuck you, Ubi. Thanks, guys, for leaving me hanging.
Frick you!
Press F to pay disrespect.
But yes, so you wake up, handcuffed to the bed, you look up after trying to shake yourself off, and he tells you how the world has finally come to an end. God has finally rained death upon everybody to cleanse the earth, and you're gonna wait for Eden's Gate to open so you can walk into fucking the new world or whatever. He turns on the radio and talks about how everybody's launching missiles and dumb shit like this. How no, it's not everybody launched missiles. It's the emergency alert sounder is going, and he explains to you how you took his entire family away. So he took your family away, and now you're his family. So the quote-unquote good ending is, the world is cleansed by nuclear fire, and you are a slave for the rest of your life. How the fuck is that a good ending, Ubisoft, you pieces of shit?
The good ending to this game doesn't even explain why the nuclear holocaust happens. There could have been a lot of messages in this game, like this game could have been, pardon the pun phrasing, but it could have been very preachy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It had nothing to say. Like, it's a game about cults in America, and it literally has nothing to say. All it does is it has some really great visuals and a fun area to go explore, and then a story that is just crap.
See, I will disagree with you with the story being crap. I agree that Joseph Seed is hollow as shit as a main villain, but I think it was a great story just because of my obsession with crazy cults. With Westboro Baptist, Red State from Kevin Smith.
The problem, they didn't use, like, Red State had something to say. Red State was awesome. Mm-hmm. If they had gone a Red State direction with this, like, they don't, let me put it this way. They try and insinuate a few times that Joseph Seed has people all over and that the nuclear holocaust was maybe because of more cult people outside of this little town in Montana. But they never get that far, and it's more like, oh, well, it just happened because it really was prophesied to happen. And I feel like there were so many missed opportunities on what they could have said throughout this entire story about all of it. But instead, it was just generic, like you said, hollow bad guy is bad because he's bad, but then the ending doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Because everything goes to crap.
There was something that Rad picked up that I never noticed. Was the radio broadcast saying that...
yes,
go ahead, Rad, please.
In all the radio broadcasts, as you drive around, occasionally, you listen to music or whatever, occasionally a different broadcast will break in and say a little bit about what's going on out in the wider world, which is like,
sure.
Tensions between the United States and blank have really taken a turn for the worse.
But is that enough of a justification for the ending we got?
Fuck no.
That's the problem I had.
Here's the big problem with Far Cry 5. The entire game is Hope County. Hope County. Focus on Hope County. You don't know anything about the wider world other than Hope County.
Right. You're stuck in Hope County. It's cult-owned.
Yes, all your information is about Hope County. All the missions you're doing are about Hope County.
I mean,
and the ending's like,
right
oh yeah,
there,
wider world, folks. Wider world. Don't forget about us.
Yeah, right there. That whole concept of you're stuck in Hope County and the only information you get is from whatever's going on. They could have made all kinds of commentaries about things like North Korea, about how these people in North Korea are literally trapped there, being fed misinformation constantly, and they could have done something with that. They could have had a greater message, like let's say something. But the whole game doesn't say anything. It's as hollow as Joseph Seed himself.
I don't disagree. When I say it was a great story, I mean quite literally just because I'm obsessed with the fanaticism of religion. But I totally agree that there was so much more they could have done.
Yeah, it just doesn't use it right. Is my point.
The only one
it never. And especially the faith stuff. Now, my opinion on the faith stuff is that Ubisoft, for whatever reason, is obsessed with drug-fueled story points in their games. They've had it in every single Far Cry. They've done a little bit of it in Assassin's Creed a couple times. They are obsessed with it, and I feel like this is like their next game. Their next Far Cry game, I would not be surprised if the entire game was just some crazy drug-fueled thing.
Now, two things on the drugs. One, it actually, the whole Faith thing with her, the drugs, and then towards the end battle, have you done the end battle yet with Faith yet, Ryan? Oh, God. I'm sorry. I'm saying this right now. I am so sorry. What she was saying during the battle, Casual, I don't know if you'll agree with me or not, but actually made me feel pity for her. Do you remember so, full disclosure, I did not pay attention to the story about halfway through. I was literally skipping every cutscene because it was pissing me off so much that it kept pulling me into them and that it was going so long. And that's another thing that I get annoyed in games is when the dialogue is purposely so slowly delivered, and that was 90% of the dialogue in this frickin' game. To me, I think Faith was necessary to be so slow because there was so much about drugs with how you were on the
but it wasn't just Faith; it was all of them. They were all doing it.
Absolutely.
And every time a cutscene came up, I was like, "Would you just talk and get over with it? I have things to do."
Well, I agree. I'm just saying when it came to Faith, it was necessary because of how the whole ambience of being fucked out of your mind on drugs. Maybe it's just because I've been on drugs so much in the past, back when I was younger, that I remember it. Yeah, I mean, but it was just, God.
Casual. They went to a service for voice acting run by William Shatner.
No. See, William Shatner has pauses, but in between those pauses, he still speaks relatively quickly. He talks like this, and he still gets his dialogue out somewhat fast. But they were all like, let me tell you.
And maybe for the next Far Cry, that should just be William Shatner.
Just William Shatner.
I would love that. I would love to play a game of Far Cry with William Shatner in any role. I would love to play as William Shatner.
William Shatner in every role.
Yes.
It has to be now.
There you go. There's your drug-fueled Far Cry with William Shatner in every role.
Now,
okay, so Far Cry 5 hired the Zootopia Sloth to be their voice actors.
Yes. There you go.
Christ's sake.
But either way, I have to reiterate, the gameplay itself is the best of the Far Cry so far.
Oh, absolutely.
They've done such a great with one exception. And this only applies to those of us that use controllers on PC. It still, right now, as I'm speaking, has not been updated to work properly with controllers.
I will say
it is 3 weeks on, and they have not patched it so that the D-pad works.
As far as it goes for best one, I still like Primal better, but that is because I enjoyed the Primal aspect. With spears, bow and arrow, using a hawk to attack. That was just
and that's fine. But they definitely did a great job of updating everything and making it even more refined. And the graphics, Holy crap, they look so good.
Right, dude?
And my next question for you, Casual, how much did you hate not having towers?
I actually did miss the towers.
Really?
Like so my opinion on the whole tower thing is that I felt like the towers should have been just something you can also do. Like, they shouldn't have been forced on you to go up in the towers and reveal the map. But there's another game that I played. It was one of the Assassin's Creeds, because the Assassin's Creed still use towers to this day. You climb up to the top, you do your sinking thing, and it reveals parts of the map. But there were games in the Assassin's Creed franchise where, as you wandered around on the map, it exposed the fog of war.
Mm-hmm.
And if you went up to a tower, it gave you a big circle that it exposed. But you didn't technically need to. And I felt like that's what they should have done in Far Cry, is still give me those towers to climb, because I like jumping off of them.
Yeah.
But instead, they just did away with them completely, and I think there's only 2 towers you have to climb, one for the main story and one for a side quest.
Yeah, and then the whole during the whole main quest one, they were making fun of towers. I thought that was funny.
Yeah,
as hell. I love that.
That was funny. That was Ubisoft poking at the people that have been pissed off at all the tower stuff, saying, "Don't worry." Something like, "Don't worry, I'm not going to have you climbing over towers all over the county."
Uh-huh.
It was a nod.
The other part I must point out, the movie director.
The movie director.
Heaven forbid I spend any more time working on stupid Far Cry movies.
Oh, God. That was so fucking funny. I giggled my ass off. I legit pissed myself laughing. Now, here's another thing, and I want to see what everybody thought of this. Me and Rad were discussing this on my stream, twitch.tv/Stacey Kruger. Shameless self-promotion.
Be sure to like and subscribe.
But, yes, we discussed this. What if Far Cry 5's ending truly didn't happen, and Far Cry 5 really didn't happen beyond the drug aspect, and once you got into that bliss, the game was truly over. You were lost mentally.
Well,
But-
I mean, I would love that, but the problem is the game doesn't really lend towards that. Like there are TV shows that have interesting endings, and you can, like, for instance, the series Dexter. Great series for the first 3 to 5 seasons, depending on your opinion. The last 3 seasons definitely went downhill. And then the ending pissed a lot of people off, because he basically just becomes a lumberjack out in bumfuck who cares where. Like, literally a lumberjack. There is a fan theory, though, that makes the ending more palatable if you imagine that basically he's always been a lumberjack, stuck out in who knows where, Alaska, and he's just insane, and these have been his thoughts for the last who knows how long.
It's just murdering trees.
He's just, like, he's had such a boring and mundane life. He imagined this whole life where it was so much more interesting, because he himself is just a boring person.
Well, here's the
living
reason
a
why I
boring
bring
life.
up this theory. Because remember the boss fight where you Joseph throws the bliss everywhere, you get incredibly fucked up, and that's when you fight him? But remember, every other time you got head over heels in bliss, where you lost yourself in it, they had to pump your body full of anti-bliss drugs to wipe it out of you.
Right. They shot you full of adrenaline or whatever.
But this one, after this boss fight, there was no drugs to clean you, to cleanse the bliss from your body. Think about the end of that. I mean, does that mean at that point this is just a dream theory and the entire end of the movie is pointless because it didn't actually happen?
I think that the biggest problem with the story overall is that the cultists don't look different enough from everybody else, and sometimes it's hard to tell that they are cultists, and I would shoot a civilian, and
did
it
that
would
a
say,
lot.
don't shoot civilians, and I'm like, I didn't know!
Right? I've done that so many fucking times. It's,
I will also say that I read quite a few articles about the ending because I was like, did anybody else like this ending? The answer, by the way, pretty much universally no. But what I will say is that one of the articles I read was one of those like anti-patriarchy type things saying, I can't believe there's so few women in this game. What game were you playing? There were women everywhere.
Right, dude?
Including the cultists. Tons of them. Different races, different genders, potentially different sexual orientations, but we'll never know because they don't really go into that.
Yep. It's just excuse me, the meat and potatoes of the game, which is gameplay, which is map, awesome. Side quests, fucking stellar. I was in love with it.
Yeah, the side quests were really fun. I agree. Especially, well, I will also take in... There were one, quote, story quests that I thought were fun, and that was the ones that unlocked the different, what do you call them, soldiers or whatever, your companion
Teammates?
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were really fun, especially Herc, and I
Herc.
really liked Cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger. Oh, what a sweetie. That was broken as shit, though. His damn, he wouldn't show up as having the quest for you. So you just had to go stare at people until it finally said, oh, hey, you found a new person. And it was like, oh, this is the asshole I'm supposed to talk to. It was really stupid.
Oh, mine wasn't broken.
Oh,
but you're not the only person that has said that a lot of quests were broken.
It's just, here was my biggest problem with this. As I hurried up and forced myself to beat the game so I can go back and do the story, the side quest later,
Sure.
so I could get it ready for the podcast.
Which, by the way, you can still play the game after the ending.
Yeah, but I didn't want to.
And yeah, I understand that, because the ending is so bad, and so you're like, what did I just do? Like, why did I waste my time?
Exactly. When I felt that everything I did in that game was completely useless because no matter what, I'm going to die from nuclear fire. What's the fucking point? And by the way, listen here, fuckers. Ubisoft, I get it. You meant to say it was North Korea's Russia that nuked us, blah, 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 blah. I can't help but wonder this. Because remember in the quote-unquote joke ending, they talked about how every radio station in the area was taken over? I get that some national radio stations could have broken in. But remember, there were jammers keeping radio stations out. How hard is it to believe, especially when you're flying around, you could actually see missile silos smoking. How hard is it to believe that Joseph Seed, if this really did happen, forced the hand of his quote-unquote apocalypse for a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Well, let's talk about the real elephant in the room, and that is that you have access to a million different types of planes and helicopters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. Why can't you just
fly out?
Yeah, exactly. Right, dude?
Like I'm glad you have access to planes and helicopters, because that's awesome. I will actually say there is one thing I was a little bit disappointed in, and that is that they didn't make a return of the Buzzer or whatever that little tiny helicopter in Far Cry 4 was. I loved that stupid little thing, and I wished it would have been one of the helicopter options.
I was glad to see Herc back, because Herc's been I think he's been in 3, 4, Primal, and now 5. No, but
yeah,
1 and 2.
He's definitely been in 3 and 4.
Primal for sure.
3 was his first game.
Okay,
Wait,
that's what I thought.
Herc was in Primal?
Yeah, he was the idiot caveman who thought he could fly with 2 feathers. He thought he could resist.
Okay.
If he got rocks, he could resist bears biting him.
I think that... So, okay. There's another reason that I don't like the ending to Far Cry 5. And it has to do with the Ubiverse. Now, if you don't know what the Ubiverse is, it is the interconnected game universe that consists of Far Cry, at least since Ubisoft took over, because the original Far Cry was not theirs. Watch _ Dogs, Assassin's Creed, and possibly Driver. That there's a game that they also took over. They did Driver. Parallel Lines, I think, was their first entry into the franchise, which is.
I was about to say you're about to hit
fun.
on something I brought up on stream too. So go ahead, buddy.
It's a pretty fun but broken game. But anyway, so Assassin's Creed generally takes place in the past and the, quote, near future or present. Watch Dogs, Far Cry takes place in the definite now. Watch Dogs takes place in the definite near future. The problem I have with this is if these are truly an interconnected universe and the nukes all destroyed everything in Far Cry 5, you've just broken your universe.
That's
because
exactly
Watch
it.
Dogs 2 still exists.
That is exactly it. And but no, there's no way to argue that all of them are connected because of the Blood Dragon reference, because of the bobblehead of Far Cry 4, which, yes, are Easter eggs, but they still connect them.
Well, no, now you can also argue, well, it's DLC, but there is direct references to Abstergo in Far Cry 3. There is a mission in Assassin's Creed 4 that carries over to Watch Dogs. So these are not like little Easter eggy type entries. This is literal, these stories are connected things, but then everything's nuked at the end of Far Cry 5.
right?
So
That's
honestly,
where I'm so pissed
it
off,
kind
man.
of lends credence to your theory that it's all a dream.
And also look at it this way. How the hell can you make a sixth Far Cry with that? If everything
China,
was
Well-
here we come.
Jesus. I mean, seriously, you
I
can't
will
have another
say I am looking forward to a Far Cry 6 because
I'm not.
hopefully they can redeem themselves in terms of story, and I would love to see a different setting because I kind of feel like they've done two settings really well, jungle-ish settings and mountain-ish settings. How about we go somewhere else?
Far Cry 6, Far Cry meets Fallout.
I mean, I've already stated on my
Oh.
stream that I will not play Far Cry 6 because of Far Cry 5. Ubisoft fucking me in the ass so hard. I don't want to touch
kinda
it.
want Far Cry meets Fallout now.
Well, it's impossible because different franchises.
Okay,
but
no. Okay, go with me here. We
I'm already
should probably
scared.
be ending soon. But okay, so in the 80s, there were tons of these apocalyptic movies.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Max was probably the go-to, but there were a bunch of them, all that came out in the 80s. Blood Dragon is an homage to classic 80s crap. What if the next Far Cry does follow Far Cry 5, but it's an 80s throwback post-apocalypse game with Far Cry mechanics and map-making?
I was thinking, what if they did that, except they went really left field with the post-apocalyptic and did like Waterworld or something?
I mean, they could do just think about it. Far Cry mechanics, which are really great, in an 80s throwback post-apocalypse game. You're
I have,
interested, aren't you?
Another idea for Far Cry 6, you go something like Last Man on Earth type of deal in a city. You know, there's obviously you find a couple survivors and stuff.
I would
But-
love to see what they could do with an actual city, as long as I can actually explore all the buildings. I get sick of games where here's a city, but you can only go inside like a couple places.
You're going to have a real hard time selling me to get me back into the Far Cry franchise after 5. Far Cry 5 legitimately gutted me. Like, I can't tell you how incredibly disappointed I am with Ubisoft. Not even just disappointed and just upset.
Stacy, I have an answer to your problem. You have to beat Far Cry 6 in order to get the code to unlock Final Fantasy VII Remastered for free.
I will gladly walk away from 7 in a half a heartbeat if that was the case. I would love to never have 7 be produced ever again. if it means no more Far Cry 6.
And Injustice 3.
Okay,
That's
I'll eat it.
that's not going to happen though, because Far Cry 5 sold like gangbusters.
Yeah, until people saw the ending and told Ubisoft to go fuck themselves.
Well, people
Haha, I
don't
already
play-
got your money.
Yeah, that's my opinion of that. Ubisoft got their money. They are going to cry their way to the bank that people didn't like their ending and not give a crap. Unfortunately,
You're wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It
but
pisses me off because they don't give a fuck.
what I'm saying is, I never write a series off until they produce like 3 Sonic games in a row that are terrible. Although I never enjoyed the Sonic franchise as a whole, there are certain franchises that you just kind of give up on. I'm not willing to give up on Far Cry. I think that they can still make a good game. We'll just see what happens in the next one.
And that's the problem right there, to me. That's the problem, because so many people would be like, it's all right, Far Cry, we understand you fucked up, come back and make us another one, instead of going, fuck you, Far Cry, for fucking us.
Again, the story is not why I play the Far Cry. In fact, burning through the story is fine to me, because then I get to just explore the world. One of the articles I read was exactly my opinion after I beat the game, was I had a lot of fun in Far Cry after I burned through the stupid story.
See, me, I'm the kind of guy who loves story, and that's why I love Far Cry 3. I thought Far Cry 3's story was stellar and actually drugged me in and made me want to keep going.
I hated the end of Far Cry 3.
Really? I loved it.
Well, let me rephrase. I was fine with the ending, like the actual events that occurred. What I didn't like was the entire game, and this is kind of my same problem with Far Cry 5, where they were forcing me to be pulled into the story every so often. Far Cry 3 was completely open world, and you could do whatever you wanted. You could do the story, you could do the missions however you wanted to try and do them. Then it was a rail mission for the final mission.
True.
Like,
I'll give you
what
that.
why did you do that?
The ending I wasn't exactly happy with as far as it went for the mission that you had to do, but the story I thought was amazing. Both sides of it, both the good and bad.
I liked the first half, but it started to lose me in the second half. That being said, I didn't skip it like I did with Far Cry 5, so it has points there.
Once again, Ubisoft, I am so fucking disappointed in you. I feel bent over the fucking Chevy with no lube. Like, this was heartbreaking because I love this franchise so much. I'm head over heel in love with this franchise. When I heard they were making a 5, which, once again, duh, of course they would. I thought it was, oh, great, this is going to be so cool. I can't wait to see what they did. And then they just went, hey, by the way, let me go ahead and just fucking fist you real quick with a shitty story. And, a really terrible ending. It's just
hopefully all of the articles and everything else will everybody's general opinion of their story for this one will get them to rethink what they do in the future.
If you believe that, I got a farm to sell you about a mile and a half down the road, casual.
I mean, they did a great job with Assassin's Creed Origins, and people were sick of Assassin's Creed too.
Well, I have my choice words about Assassin's Creed. I think it's a garbage franchise, so I can't speak from that one on a non-biased opinion.
Yeah, that's another one of those cases of they did half of a good game, in my opinion. The past stuff I like all the things where you're doing stuff in the Renaissance or ancient Egypt or whatever. It's the Abstergo stuff that just bores me to tears.
I understand. All right, so general consensus, Ryan. I'm sorry I wasted the money to buy you that game that I thought we were gonna love and I thought was gonna be an amazing game, but it turned out to be horseshit. I am so sorry for you, Ryan. I wasted money.
You can still have fun with it after the story's done.
How?
I could
It's
still have fun with
impossible.
it right
Everything's dead.
Up until the end, I could still have shit tons of fun with it.
Why? Why are you doing that? Everything's gonna die anyway. So what's the fucking
It
point?
doesn't. You stop that.
What's
now.
the point, though?
You
tell me right now. What's the point?
Because it's a.
Because the gameplay is still fun.
But what's the point?
And who cares about the story?
What's the point?
I just said, who
I'm
cares
sorry.
about the story?
A game without story is garbage.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You're saying that every Mario game is garbage?
Well, most of them.
Well, they're your
64 was dog shit, but it did have a story. No matter what, you had a definite story. You knew what your point was.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 64 is a piece of shit, man. I
Okay.
hated the gameplay. I thought it was an abortion on wheat toast, man. But, I mean, a lot of people were like, yeah, Mario, because Nintendo. Just like everybody
Are you
does
just
with
saying that
Link and all that other
Are you
shit.
just saying that because you're bad at it?
No, I thought it was garbage. Like Nintendo, what was it? Mario RPG was great because it had an amazing story.
Okay.
Sorry, I play games for story. I don't necessarily play it just for mechanics. You know, when the mechanics are fun along with the story, that makes it the best game ever, quote unquote. You know, GOAT, greatest game ever, bullshit. You know, but by far, I would be amazed if Far Cry 5 was anywhere close to Game of the Year. If any fucking magazine or company
no.
decides
Far Cry
to say,
5. Well, again, story is just one of many factors that people take into account when they judge games and give them scores, which I think giving games scores is stupid anyway. You either like a game or you don't like a game.
I would say,
Case in point, Mario 64. People liked it. You didn't. It's fine.
to quote Casual, it's okay to be wrong. Either way, guys, thank you very much for tuning in, each and every one of you. I'm sorry, all of you who bought Far Cry 5 and wasted money on that shit game. If you haven't bought it yet, please don't waste your money on Ubisoft. Instead, just send them an Instagram, and tag them an Instagram photo, or send them a tweet with their middle finger instead. Let them know you're not happy about the garbage they put out.
Realistically, what I will say on that note is, if you don't care about story, this is an awesome game. If you do care about story, like Stacy said, don't waste your money.
Yeah.
If all you care about is story in a video game, don't waste your time.
Well, it's not all,
Not
but, you know,
worth
it needs to have that perfect balance. That's the thing. Absolutely needs to have the balance where it's good gameplay with good story. I mean, if it's a shit game with amazing story, it's going to be like, this is shit, this isn't fun, because it may have a great story, but I could read a book instead. Yeah, I mean. Which I know I'm the only RPGer here, but either way.
No, you're not. I still play RPGs.
You hate Final Fantasy. You think every time I bring up an RPG, you're like, the story sucked.
I like RPGs.
Since when? I never said I hated Final Fantasy. In fact, I love Final Fantasy VI, and I have said multiple times that Final Fantasy VII is fine. I just don't think it deserves the hype that it got. I also enjoy Final Fantasy XII. You hate Final Fantasy
Oh, that's an
12.
abortion. An absolute... That was a back alley abortion with a coat hanger, man.
Are we
Jesus
going to get into
Christ.
this again?
Said.
Sure.
Are we going to get...
Either way, let's actually end this podcast before it does turn into a back alley abortion. Ryan, I'm looking at you with the coat hanger, motherfucker.
Too late.
I got the coat hanger. Run! Either way, we have been the Odd Pod. Thank you very much for sticking around. My name is Stacey Kruger. Who the hell are you, you potential abortion?
Aren't I not an abortion because I'm still here? I'm Ryan.
I'm Robbie. Apparently, I came out ass first.
I'm Red, the quiet one.
I'm casually challenged, and opinions are opinionated. Don't forget that.
There you go. Thank you very much for tuning in. We love each and every one of you, despite the fact that all of you are wrong for liking Mario. We love you guys. Seriously.
But you're right for liking our podcast.
Thank you very much for sticking around, guys. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.